The decision was announced as final, approved, recorded, set into motion. Everything suggested there was no going back. Then it changed, quietly. No press conference, no explanation, no apology. It began quietly, without announcement or fanfare. Just an update. A minor revision to a line of text on a government webpage, logged in the dead of night. A digital footnote that most would scroll past without a second thought. The original language, clear and definitive, simply disappeared. It wasn't struck through or archived. It was overwritten. New wording, softer and more ambiguous, seamlessly took its place. And with that new language, the timeline shifted. What was once a fixed point on the horizon became a moving target. Most people didn't notice. Life continued, uninterrupted. The change was buried in the noise of daily existence, a single altered pixel in a vast digital landscape. Because reversals don't feel dramatic. They don't arrive with a thunderclap. They feel administrative. The quiet click of a staple remover, the soft whir of a document scanner, the mundane act of refiling a folder. But this one mattered. This quiet, clerical act was not a correction of a typo. It was the silent dismantling of a promise. The decision affected policies, funding, responsibilities. An entire framework of action built on a specific commitment was now tethered to a void. And suddenly, it no longer existed in the same form. The foundation had been altered, and everything built upon it began to subtly tremble. At first, the change was subtle, a masterclass in semantic erosion. Firm statements became conditional. Deadlines became flexible. Requirements became recommendations. The word will was replaced with may. Must softened into should. Nothing was officially reversed. No press release announced a change in direction. It was simply adjusted, recalibrated. A minor course correction that no one was meant to question, but which changed the destination entirely. That's how reversals avoid attention. They don't arrive with a thunderclap. They seep in quietly, like a rising tide. The change is designed to be overlooked, buried within the daily flood of routine updates and procedural adjustments. It hides in plain sight, relying on the assumption that no one is watching every single detail, all of the time. It exploits the natural noise of a complex system, because there was no clear moment to react. No headline announced the change. No press release offered a rationale. No formal explanation was presented to be challenged. Without a focal point, opposition cannot coalesce. Instead, there is only a lingering sense of uncertainty, a feeling that the ground has shifted beneath your feet without you noticing the tremor. Just a revised version, uploaded to a server. A new file replaces the old one. And this isn't unusual. It is standard operating procedure in many large bureaucracies. In complex systems, decisions are often undone not by admitting error, but by simply rewriting the record. It's a clean, efficient process that leaves no messy trail of accountability. Language is softened. Firm commitments become vague aspirations. Key details are removed, stripping the policy of its teeth. The original context is lost, making it impossible to understand the initial intent. And with the erosion of the record, responsibility fades. The decision becomes an orphan, with no clear author, no clear moment of birth, and no one to answer for its consequences. For those affected, the confusion was immediate and disorienting. What was approved last week no longer applied this week. The rules they had been told to follow were suddenly obsolete, but the new rules were nowhere to be found. Official instructions began to contradict each other. Different departments, working from different versions of the truth, gave different answers. No one could explain the discrepancy, because from their perspective, there was none. They were simply following the document in front of them. Requests for clarification were redirected into bureaucratic labyrinths. Official statements vaguely referred to new information or an updated understanding of the situation. But the new information was never shared. The updated understanding was never explained. The reversal was complete, not because it was announced, but because the original decision had been erased from the official memory, leaving only confusion in its place. Without reasons, there was nothing to debate. And without debate, the change became permanent. Over time, people adapted. They stopped asking questions. They followed the updated guidance. They treated the reversal as normal, because uncertainty is exhausting. And systems rely on exhaustion. The reversal didn't fix a mistake. It erased it. By removing the need to explain, the system removed accountability. Accountability is built on a foundation of memory, not just the memory of individuals, which fades and falters, but the collective, documented memory of an institution. It requires a stable, accessible record of what was decided and why. If that record is compromised, or if no one can recall the original decision with clarity, then the very concept of accountability dissolves. There is simply nothing left to answer for. The past becomes a ghost, and its lessons are lost. This is how reversals are engineered to disappear. They are not erased through outright denial, which only invites scrutiny and resistance. Instead, they vanish through the far more subtle and effective mechanism of revision. The past isn't contested. It's simply replaced. A new version of the truth is quietly substituted for the old one, presented not as a change, but as a clarification. The original record technically still exists, but it has been deliberately fragmented. It's buried under a mountain of incremental updates, each one a minor deviation. It's hidden between versions, with the crucial changes obscured by a sea of trivial ones. It's lost in dense, procedural language, a dialect designed to be understood by the few and ignored by the many. The trail is there, but it has been intentionally overgrown. You can still find the original intent if you possess the time, the expertise, and the sheer determination to excavate it. If you know exactly which appendix to check, which footnote to cross-reference, which version number holds the key. But this is a scavenger hunt few have the resources or the inclination to undertake. Most people don't even know the game is being played. This is because reversals are rarely announced with fanfare. They are not debated in public forums. They are implemented, quietly, methodically, procedurally. They arrive in the form of a software patch, a policy addendum, a minor update to the terms of service. They are executed without explanation because the procedure itself is presented as the explanation. The change is simply the new status quo, and once implemented, a strange alchemy occurs. They stop feeling like reversals. The friction of the change is gone. The new reality is normalized through daily interaction. It begins to feel like an improvement, an optimization. It feels like progress. This isn't about one decision or one policy. It's about the architecture of institutional trust. It's about how direction can be fundamentally altered without acknowledgement, leaving everyone to navigate a new landscape while being told nothing has changed. Because when decisions can be reversed without explanation, accountability becomes optional. And when accountability fades, trust follows. The question isn't why the decision changed. The question is why no explanation was required. Because next time, the reversal won't be noticed either. It will already be written into the update.